Hi guys, Shane here. So a week ago I produced a small video essentially reaching out to anybody that's currently working with their horses at the moment and for one reason or another feel they may need just a little bit of help or guidance. And they were to feel free to get in contact with me and ask me whatever it is they wanted to know about or how it is I might be able to help them. The response to that video has been quite incredible. I've received many emails, text messages, and had the odd video sent in to me already from people asking me to give feedback and basically explaining to me how they think it is I can help. So guys, thank you very much for all those emails, messages, and videos that you've kindly sent in. Like I said, it's only been a week, but I will endeavor to answer as many of them as I can, if not all of them, in the days and weeks to come. And hopefully you guys can find this helpful and above all interesting. So the purpose of today's video is that I'm going to choose a subject which is really a result of a question which has been asked by quite a number of you. And that question or subject is how I go about riding my horses for the first time I step out of the round pen. So in other words, how technical do I make it? How simple do I keep things? And if there's anything that I work on, what is it going to be? This is a really interesting topic for me because not only do I get to ride a lot of young horses on a daily basis, obviously, but it's something that I pay really particular attention to, and it's something that I really am quite thorough about. The main reason is that I think too many people actually get into trouble with their horses in the early stages of their riding careers, mainly because people's ideas and expectations of those horses are way too high for the level of experience and education that horse has at that particular time. I think as people, and myself included, we can all suffer from this need and desire to be stepping up onto the horse and always having our training cap on. Every time we ride them, we feel like we've got to be training on them and dictating what it is we would like them to do, long before we necessarily have the right tools to be able to actually assist us with that. And also having taken into no account for how it is that the horse may be feeling that day or what its particular mindset may be. Remember guys, when you do step out of the round pen with a horse or a young horse for the first time, you don't necessarily have the tools at hand to fix problems that you may create in the moments to come. You know, at the very best, all you may have is some lateral flexion, some bend left and right, which I hope you do. But you won't have the understanding of leg yields and how a horse feels about being ridden into hand contact. And you won't even possibly have any sort of understanding of neck reining. So the more simple you can keep things, the better. I think I always like to refer to it as a 1+1 level. I think all too often we're into this training environment, an arena or a menage, and because we're in that environment, we think we've got to be training. And to a horse, that's like introducing it to trigonometry on day one of school. And I think this is sort of a mistake that a lot of us, like I say, including myself, can suffer from time to time. So having said that, I have a great belief or work of a philosophy that I don't believe that any horse or human really is able to take on a great deal amount of information until it's firstly comfortable with the environment that it's working in and that it feels safer in that environment. My horses can be a lot of things of me, but one thing for sure I don't want them to be is necessarily scared of myself and the equipment I use and the environment that I'm working in. I think it's really my responsibility to introduce them as best I can to the work environment first and gauge the feedback I'm getting from those horses and the potential mindset they have, and decide then how much horse I have left if it's then that I want to teach them something more technical. And for a young horse, this particular ride, that may be all you do with that horse for that day or for the first few days or weeks even. So that in itself is sort of a method of training. So having explained this, I have a particular drill that I like to use to introduce my horse to the arena for the first time, having just stepped out of the round pen. And this drill is broken down into 3 separate steps or exercises. The first being a passenger exercise. Secondly, something that I refer to as following feel, and the third exercise is something I refer to as suggestion. I'm going to demonstrate all 3 of these steps or exercises and explain to you what it is I'm doing, why it is I'm doing it, and the purposes behind them. So I think now it's probably time to stick a bridle on this young filly and get to demonstrating them for you. Okay, guys, I'm aboard the 3-year-old filly where I'm about to demonstrate the first exercise in my drill that I use to introduce the young horses to the arena for the first time. So this first step or first exercise is going to be the passenger exercise. And what I mean by that is that I'm going to basically offer her some forward motion, preferably at the trot, and I'm just going to allow her to go wherever she wants. She's allowed to explore any part of the arena she feels comfortable in going towards, and clearly I'm going to start to identify the areas of the arena that she starts to stay away from. So as a rider, that gives me great feedback in terms of where these areas are, and therefore once I know where they are, how I can help her to overcome those sort of concerns in the future rides. Because before I get too technical in here, I need to know that my horse is happy to go wherever I ask her to go. If I come in right from day one and I want to do 10, 15-meter circles at the top of the arena or figure of eights in the middle, and my horse is worried about something in those parts of the arena, well, it goes without saying that I'm going to have resistance and trouble. So the idea of this first exercise is purely just to follow her around, let her go wherever she wants, and to show me where she gravitates towards and where she's going to stay away from. Having said that, I do have some safety sort of elements in mind, because obviously if she got a bit excited or she was a bit too fresh, I hadn't taken enough out of her before getting to work, I know that I can get back in control by just reaching down in the rein and bending her nose, and I'm going to shut that movement down. So I think it's always good to know where your sort of safety net is before you embark on any exercise. Okay, so I'm going to get started with this first step, the passenger exercise, and I'll give you a running commentary as I go along. So, like I said, I prefer to do it at the trot, so I'm going to offer the mare a little trot, and I'm just going to keep my hand down and get going with her. I suspect, like most of them do, they're going to go to the gate. That's where their field buddies are, and where the feed is and the rest. In saying that, like always, animals and children always set out to prove you wrong. She's gone straight by the gate. She's heading up along the wall here. So I'm just going to travel with her. I'm going to let her go wherever she wants. Excellent. So here she's come to a stop. I'm just going to choose a direction, offer her space, and go with the movement. I'm not going to do any more than this. Like I say, I'm just encouraging her and giving her the freedom to explore. And as a rider, I'm going to start identifying where it is that she wants to be, where it is she's staying away from. And here she's taken interest in my dog. That's fine. Take her somewhere. Yeah, she's going to the gate. I'm just running out of space. I'm going to redirect her and turn her loose. Little trip. That can often excite a young horse, and that may be one of those moments where you need to get your head bent round, because a little trip like that can send them into a little bit of a hump or a porpoise type action. You never know. So for the most part, this filly's really explored the outside of the arena, which I'm quite happy about. Quite often they stay away from the walls because there's objects on the walls that they're not too sure of, or shadows. So she seems to be pretty comfortable with going around the outside. I almost feel like I want to direct her somewhere now. Or maybe a new direction. Remember, every time you change direction in a horse, you get a change in attitude. So for the most part, this filly's gone round to the left here. The next opportunity I get, I might offer her some direction to the right. Guys, and remember, this is not about riding pretty. I'm not worried about what leg I'm rising and falling on or which diagonal I'm on. It's purely about just being with your horse and following where it is they're going. Let me just change direction, see what she's like the other way. Remember, change in direction, you generally get a change in attitude. And that statement brings me to want to tell you, remind yourselves that for every one horse you have two directions and two sides of it to train. Here we go. Yep, she's hell-bent on wanting to go to the left, which is exactly why I'm offering her some direction to the right. In fact, here, there we go, she was about to go left again. Back to the gate. Oh, she thought about going left, back to the gate, and now she's heading up somewhere else. This is exactly why I get involved only when I need to, just to offer them space. Just take away from the camera here, and just let them travel. Okay, you might be wondering, well, how long do I do this for? Well, round about this long. And what I mean by this long is that this filly actually, I'm going to direct it back toward the camera, she's actually gone round pretty much most of the arena. So I'm already feeling like I need to step in towards offering her the next phase of this exercise, which is following feel. Okay, having completed that first phase of the drill, the passenger exercise, I'm going to now introduce her to the next exercise and the next step, which is following feel. This exercise is pretty much very similar to the first one I did, where I just followed her around. The only difference is what I'm going to try and do here is actually, while she's traveling around, is try and identify a particular direction she may be going towards, or feel in the way she's leaning. And what I'm going to do is basically add to that direction or add to that movement. The idea behind this is that I want to try and encourage her to make the decisions that she is and support those by basically showing her that that was the right thing to do. I'm trying to explain to her or show her that I actually am on the same team as her. I don't want her to feel that, like, you know, she plays for Man United and I play for Liverpool. So in other words, you know, every time she goes left, I'm going to redirect her to the right, or she wants to go right and I pull her left. So the idea is try and identify where they're wanting to go and just add to that movement. Make everything she's doing the right thing or the right decision to have done. So it's going to be done at the trot. Again, I think it's really important because that gives you that forward motion. You get to cover ground. One benefit from a rider's point of view when doing this exercise is that it really teaches you to actually feel where it is your horse is going, rather than try and guess where they're going. And I think that's something which a lot of people forget in their riding sort of time or their careers. We so or so used to sort of telling our horse where we want it to go, rather than actually feeling our horses. So it's a really good exercise to sort of feel your horse, rather than sort of just be traveling around and making it go somewhere through the mechanics of the reins and always using your legs and spurs or schooling whips. So I really enjoy doing this, where it can really help me understand my horse and its movement. So here she's gone off to the gate and run out space, direct her somewhere. So I'm going to get into it now. I'm going to try and identify a drift or a lean. Here she's going along the wall, so I don't really get to feel much at all. I take away from the camera, offer her space, turn her loose. There, a little bit to the right. So I'm going to pick up the right rein and just add a bit more. Here she's gone left. I'm going to go all the way left. Little bit left, so I'm going to go more to the left. There she's going left again, I'm going to add more. Here she's going a little bit to the right, I'm going to go all the way around to the right. Here she's going left, I'm going to go more left. Okay, so I don't have much space here, so I'm going to just direct it to the middle of the arena and see where she goes. I'm trying to feel for that lean. A little bit right, and more to the right. So what this is doing is basically, like I say, making every direction she chooses the right one to do. So anyone that sort of happened to poke their head around the arena right now and saw me doing this, they'll probably have a look to the picture and think, gee, that horse is being guided around quite nicely and taking its directive from the rider. But in reality, it's me, the rider, that's taking the direction from the horse. I'm just adding to it. And she feels like every time I pick up the rein, she's really obliging to go in that direction. So as soon as I've already ascertained that I'm getting a positive feel, or she's accepting of me adding more to her direction or taking her nose a bit more without getting resistance, or I have little or no resistance, it's almost time to step up to the third step, which is the last part of this drill or last exercise, which is suggestion. So the third and final step in this drill is the step or phase that I refer to as suggestion. And this phase or exercise is really a test of the first two that came before it. And what I mean by that is, up till this point, we're basically following wherever the horse wants to go. We've gone with it, we've identified where it wants to go, and we've added more to it. So in this phase, what I'm going to do is similar to the first two, is I am going to identify where the horse wants to go, but for the first time now, I'm going to suggest that maybe we go somewhere else. And I think if you've got the first two phases going pretty much for you, you've already created a mindset in your horse that whatever you're doing, wherever it is that you're going, it's comfortable doing that. And I think once they enter that mindset where they're comfortable with everything that they're in and what we're doing, they'll generally be ready to go to where does you want them to go and how does you want them to go. So this is the phase of suggestion. And like I said before, it's going to be very similar to the first two stages, whereby I set her off. She's getting a bit tired now. Remember, a fresh horse won't learn, and nor will a tired one. So it's almost pertinent that we're actually coming to the end of this stage or ride. Okay, so we're off at a trot. I'm identifying she's going to the right. I'm just going to suggest we go left. She's going along the wall to the right. I'm going to suggest we go left. I'm going to sit here and gauge from her. She's drifting a little left. I'm going to suggest we go to the right. Definitely going to the right here. I'm going to suggest we go left. And what I'm gauging as a rider is her response. So in other words, every time I pick up the rein, does that nose just follow me immediately? And then do the feet follow the nose immediately? Yes or no? Here she's going left, drift right. Here she's going left again, right. Going to the right, the pick up, take her nose to the left. Drifting to the right again. And you may notice there's no resistance in this filly's nose in terms of me taking the rein out wide and pulling that nose around. No mouth. She's quiet in her mouth. She's drifting to the right, go left. Now she's drifting left, we'll go right. And that's basically what this is about. It's about just suggesting now to her to go where I want to go. Remember, I made a comment a little while ago that I'm not going to spend the rest of my life sort of being dictated to by her in terms of where we go. But to get her on my team and get her mindset where it's ready enough to take on information, even at the simple 1+1 level, these are the steps that I like to go through. And it doesn't take long, guys. You know, every horse is for sure different. Some horses take a couple of days, some might take a couple of weeks. But I think that's irrelevant. If you take the time to care initially and set the foundation, I think whatever time that was, you really make big leaps in progress going forward. And you'll find that your time will come back to you pretty quick and your horse will reach the goals and where it's meant to be before you can even blink. So that brings me to the end of my demonstration on how I go about introducing my horse to the arena for the first time, having just stepped out of the round pen. Guys, I hope that answers your question and you find it both useful and interesting. And before I end, I think what I'd like to add to this is that although this has been a demonstration of an exercise that we use on young horses, it's also something that you can do or employ on your older horses, even if they're really seasoned show horses. I think if nothing else, it'll teach you to sort of maybe go about your ride a little differently, offer your horse a chance to show you what it is that it's feeling like that day. I think quite often horses are doing things because they essentially have been made to do them rather than because they feel comfortable about doing them or they understand how to do things. So anybody watching this, if you've only got an older horse, feel free to go and practice it with those horses. I think you'll enjoy it and you'll learn a lot from it. So guys, if you've enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. Feel free to share it. Leave a comment. I really appreciate your feedback. Be sure to follow so you stay updated with anything else that I might post in the future or the days to come. And until then, stay safe, enjoy your horses, and take care.